Hey everybody, ABC 10 meteorologist Brendan Minchef here with an extended forecast update. And the wind that we've had since Thursday afternoon is finally beginning to wrap up on this Saturday, but we're not out of the woods just yet. So we'll start with those weather impact headlines, and those northerly winds, like I just mentioned, are beginning to taper off, but that red flag warning continues from coast to valley to Sierra until 5 p.m. on Saturday. And then beyond that red flag warning, really once we get to Sunday, it's just seasonal and quiet weather from here for the foreseeable future. Of course, it won't always stay that way. But let's look at some of the gusts that we saw across the region on Friday. We had the hay fire breakout, which was really, thankfully, the only fire of significance that broke out in our area. And it's no wonder why that started and spread so quickly. It was over 800 acres, and the gusts at the time of the fire were over 40 miles per hour. So that fire started and then was being driven by the wind at about 40 miles per hour. The gusts that we saw, the highest gusts there near the fire, about 42 miles per hour. Vacaville saw gusts of 38. Sacramento Executive, Sacramento International Airport, and the Yuba County Airport in Marysville all saw 36 mile per hour gusts yesterday. Mather saw 35, Modesto 33, Stockton 31 miles per hour, Davis 30 miles per hour. In downtown Sacramento, which where that observing site is actually at the campus of Sac State, a little bit sheltered by the trees, by the buildings of downtown and that surrounding area, saw gusts of 28 miles per hour. So it was still windy, still definitely blustery, but downtown was a little bit sheltered compared to some of these other areas, especially when you look at the International Airport, which is much more out in the open, right? 36 mile per hour gusts there. So that's the strongest that we've seen for some of these areas, and at this point things are beginning to wind down. So as of early to mid-morning hours on Sunday, winds mainly now confined to the central and southern Sierra, parts of the upper valley, and then also on the west side of the Sacramento Valley, where we still have some public safety power shutoffs. That continues until about 4 or 5 this afternoon. That red flag warning from coast to valley to Sierra, like I said a minute ago, continues until 5 p.m., really until those winds come down for good. So even though areas from Modesto to Stockton to Sacramento on I-5 and 99 have already seen that reduction in wind, we're not seeing it for some of the other areas, which is why that red flag warning continues. So through the morning hours, like we said, already have seen those wind gusts die down for the most populated areas. But Vacaville, Fairfield still seeing winds, the west side of the valley, the coastal range still seeing winds, and then we're also still seeing some gusts of about 40 to 50 miles per hour through some of the valleys and canyons of the Sierra. Those are going to take some time to kind of wind down. It's not until this afternoon, this is now 2 o'clock on Saturday, that we finally see those winds dying across the Sierra. Still see a steady north breeze of about 20 to 30 miles per hour on the west side of the valley. That all begins to taper off by the time we get to 6 o'clock tonight, so it takes a little while, but we finally get there this evening. Not really looking at a delta breeze, although the winds will shift and become a lot more southerly by the time we get to the late evening into those overnight hours, and we'll see some relative humidity rebounding as well. In fact, speaking of that relative humidity, through the morning hours, we're going to be losing it. It's going to go from 30s to 20s across the valley. By this afternoon, we'll be in the low teens, about 11% humidity in Sacramento, 12% Marysville, 10% Norville, 12% Fairfield and Stockton and Modesto. But by this time, the winds have pretty much wound down for most of the valley. So waking up on Sunday morning, we're finally going to see that rebounded humidity up into the 40 to 50% range for much of the valley. It does come back down on Sunday afternoon to the teens, but there's not going to be much wind, so it'll just be dry. And then Monday morning, when we finally get that delta breeze overnight Sunday into Monday, that's when we see a normal pattern return where we see relative humidity really jump up during those morning hours into the really 70 to 90% range across most of the valley and delta. So we're on the tail end of this wind event, but we're not there just yet. Those winds taper off through the afternoon today. Temperatures, though, very seasonal. The average high in Sacramento, 78 degrees. The forecast high this afternoon, 78 Sacramento, also 78 Stockton, 77 Modesto, 80 Manteca and Elk Grove, 79 Tracy, 82 Fairfield, 81 in Vacaville, 85 in Clear Lake, 92 up in Ukiah, 86 in Orville, 74 in Nevada City and Auburn, 72 Placerville, 76 Jackson, 77 in Angels Camp, 58 in South Lake Tahoe, and 61 in Truckee on Saturday afternoon. But if you're waking up early on Sunday, you're going to head out the door on Sunday, bring the jacket with you. It will be a chilly start. That low pressure has brought in some cooler air with it as well. So not just the wind, but some cooler temps. Look at this. We're going to be in those mid to upper 40s across the valley to start Sunday. So again, that is chilly. Grab the jacket if you're going to be out before, I would say, 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. The average low is 52. We'll all be a little bit below that to start off on Sunday. The next 7 days, though, see high temperatures remain right near average. The average high 78. We're going to be in those upper 70s, low 80s. Wednesday, maybe some mid 80s. That'll be the warmest day of the week, it looks like, before we drop back down into those mid 70s by the end of the work week. The weather pattern here, high pressure off to our west. Low pressure, the one that brought us all that wind, and the cooler air is now off into the desert southwest. That continues to push away. High pressure kind of scoots out as well. So seasonal through the midweek. Again, maybe Thursday's one of the warmer days as we get a little bit of ridging ahead of that system that tries to push in but likely misses us just to the north. But the point is, high pressure stays away. We have a couple of low pressures just kind of moving through the very far northern part of the state by the end of the week. Little bit of discrepancy in the models as to whether it kind of passes overhead or just to the north. But the general consensus is that it will be seasonal for the rest of this week as high pressure stays away and we have a couple of low pressures passing through. I'm also not looking at any more north wind events, although with some of these systems coming through, it could be a little bit breezy, but that would be an onshore breeze, so less fire danger associated with that, and that keeps us cooler as well. Once we get past this weather impact alert day on Saturday, things are quiet from there. 80 on Sunday, 79 on Monday. Wednesday, likely the warmer day of the week. Again, we get a little bit of ridging ahead of that system that tries to work its way through. So 83 Wednesday, but then look at that drop back into the 70s Thursday and Friday with a little bit of clouds as well, and then into the extended part of the forecast. Next weekend looks very nice. Temperatures in those middle 70s. And we don't have to worry about the wind those days either, like what we had this weekend. Even though temperatures honestly were pretty good, that wind was complicating things because obviously it sends fire danger up, and that puts us all just a little bit on edge. Now, I want to remind you, if you're not watching on ABC 10 Plus, you should download the ABC 10 Plus app. It is free. It's on Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV. We've got a weather playlist there with in-depth forecasts, explainers, and weather specials. And speaking of weather specials, premiering October 21st through 25th, we've got a new one. It's called California's Dying Lakes. The ABC 10 Weather Impact team traveled all across the state of California to examine how a changing climate and recreation are impacting the lakes that we all enjoy, including Tahoe, which is my part of the story. You'll see all that next week, both on air and on the ABC 10 Plus app. Thanks for watching.